Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Focus Show, brought to you by Factory Now TV. I'm your host, Christopher Greeno, and in this series we will focus on SMEs within the British manufacturing sector. Every week we will discuss and analyse the opportunities and challenges facing our industry in these unprecedented times. I have worked in the sector for over 26 years, and I'm CCO of SDE Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of pressings and assemblies in the UK. So I hope you can appreciate this show is very much for manufacturers by manufacturers. My guest today is Julian Turner, Chief Executive of Westfield Sports Cars Limited. Julian, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Very good, thank you. You okay?
Great to see you. Now, I guess you're not sat at your desk.
No. Well, you could call it a desk. It's our inside one of our autonomous pods. So yeah, we're streaming from inside the vehicle, which is pretty cool.
Superb. This is a first for our show. So tell us about Westfield, the history, and what you do currently.
Yeah, so the company started in 1982, in February 1982, in Kinver, actually. It's somebody's house, where they started to manufacture, in essence, it was a Lotus 11 inspired vehicle. And it became known as the Westfield 11, which we actually still manufacture today, which is fabulous. And the company grew into the sort of Lotus 7 inspired arena, and then obviously over time has got involved with other projects, including one which we're sat in today with Heathrow Airport, which is all the driverless technology. We've split the company into two. So we've got Westfield Sports Cars, which deals obviously with the cars, and we acquired the Chesil brand, which is Porsche 356 Speedster inspired vehicle last year. That's gone from strength to strength, and then obviously so is the driverless technology. So we've gone from moving people around to now retrofitting vehicles with electric powertrains and then autonomizing them, to then moving cargo and autonomous road sweepers, and then into drones. So we've done some really cutting edge technology for the UK, which I think is really, really important.
Fantastic. And you're very much a British brand. How important is that to your company?
Well, I think it's really important, and to me, it's where all the passion comes from. It's really important that we give the UK the opportunity to supply first. Obviously, some of the time it doesn't make economic sense, but I think it's really important that we certainly do all the technology here. And the reason behind that is very simple. If you've got a problem with a part, or you want some help with a particular item, such as a wiring loom or something like that, there's nothing better than phoning up a supplier and they'll be there 5 minutes later supporting you in what you're doing. Yes, I do agree that if we're manufacturing these and selling these out into China, that they might need some localization, but we're really proud to have 100% UK supply chain, with 86% coming from the Midlands.
And fantastic.
I hope that's going to continue for as long as we can. Yes, we have done, looking at parts, components, and assembly in other countries such as Malaysia, Singapore, America, and I can tell you now that sometimes it just isn't worth it. And that's talking from previous experience. And they cannot hit the quality or the timescales that you require as a niche manufacturer.
Absolutely. And you're obviously leading the way in the autonomous pods. You sat in one of your autonomous pods this morning. How do you see the future shaping up for autonomous vehicles? Is the take-up going to be there in the future?
Yes, I think definitely the take-up's going to be here. It's about the legislation and rolling this out in a safe manner. Everybody, keeps asking me, when are we going to see these on the public highway, and when are we going to see autonomous cars rolled out? And the answer is pretty twofold to that. One, we've already got autonomous vehicles operating commercially in the UK and abroad, so you can get on these vehicles now. The one I'm sat in is going back up to the Lake District National Park, UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's going to be going around all of Beatrix Potter's exciting writings and animals and stories that they created. So yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting, but under the certain conditions, you can roll out autonomous vehicles now. That's at airports, recreation centres, private road areas, pathways, parks, business parks. That can happen now. If you're looking at public highway autonomy, I think we're going to be looking more towards 3 to 5 years. And that's made not because of the vehicles and the technology, more because of the other human drivers and how they are so varied with how they operate their own vehicles.
Yeah, it's the interaction between that somebody driving a car and the autonomous vehicle. The autonomous vehicle is very set in its ways. You know exactly what it's going to do. It's the driver interaction between autonomous vehicles and people on the public roads currently. That's the sticking point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And obviously, if we can create controlled villages or controlled areas, then brilliant. But that's exactly what you can do with an airport or a zoo or a theme park. What you can't do is that on the public highway where somebody wants to go and pick up some milk. What I think we can do is decrease that by allowing them to use technology to support that particular use case.
Fantastic. And what more do you think the government can do to support UK manufacturing, niche manufacturers like you at Westfield, the great work you're doing, and you are trying to source as much as you can from the UK supply chain? What more can the government do to support you and your company going forward?
Well, I think the company's doing a lot already. Obviously, with R&D grants that have been coming in.
Yeah.
What I think the UK is really missing is systems that are in full operation. So that's the key to this. If you look at the work that's been going on at London Heathrow Airport, that's been going on now for 6 years, and everybody loves it. It's been expanded 4 times. We get people from all over the world coming to see that, and it's exactly the same in the Lake District National Park. That's been running on and off because of COVID for some time, but we've had people from South Korea, China, Australia coming to visit that system, and I think that's really important. But it's such a shame that we've got 2 instances that aren't in the local area and are distinct use cases. What we should be having is these systems operating as a showcase to the whole world, running commercially 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
So you've actually got people coming from the rest of the world to look at the technology that we're creating in the UK.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're coming, to look at both ride on the vehicles, see the technology in operation, but most importantly is to talk to the people that have enabled it to happen, such as the Airport Authority or even the Lake District National Park Authority, because they're really keen to see how they put the system in, the benefits, how much it costs. And obviously what they thought about the system as well. And that's been invaluable.
And so you've obviously got a passion for not just engineering, but the new technology. Where's that passion come from, and how do you keep the enthusiasm? Because 2020 was a tough year for everyone. How do you keep so enthusiastic about the business?
I think it's continuing to strive forward. I do get told off by the team regularly for coming up with these crazy ideas. But I think it's about having the right partners around you, because I think you bounce, in partners being suppliers and including customers, where you bounce ideas off each other. And I think if you can get the right team together, you can make anything happen. And that passion's come through, both from the team here and also, my family and how we've been brought up, in all honesty. We keep using, it's quite funny you asked the question, actually. We keep using one of the sheets and agreements that we use, which are a mutual vision that was done by the chairman on the first ever Boeing 777, where it was, in essence, a project between Cathay Pacific, Rolls-Royce and Boeing, the first ever Boeing 777 to go into ETOPS. And it shows you a very clear statement of how they wanted to operate together, and we look to replicate that now with all of our partners and suppliers, and I think that's really important.
And certainly you mentioned working with your customers, so it's not just a supplier-customer relationship. You're really trying to show the value of the engineering and the potential of the technology with the customers.
Absolutely. If you take your customer on that route, then I think that's the most important thing, because they're involved in the requirements, they're involved in the technology, because you've got to remember some of these customers are taking a huge risk. It's, can you put an autonomous vehicle into your grocery system? And it's never been done before. So yes, we've done several world firsts, which I think have been really important, but that's only because we've taken the customer along the journey with us, and we have a very open communication line between the suppliers and partners and also the customers.
And how do you balance, because Westfield is in essence a petrol, a real sports car. That's what the enthusiast is looking for. And then you've got the autonomous pod at the cutting edge of technology. How do you balance the company? Because you've got two different sort of arms of the company now, haven't you?
Yeah, and they both complement each other, in all honesty. So, when people question, it's like, how on earth have you got into autonomous technology? But when you actually come and see how the vehicles are manufactured, you can understand it's a very similar process to how we currently do the vehicles themselves here. In terms of the technology, we got really frustrated with suppliers of the autonomous control systems because they wouldn't be able to do what we wanted them to do. So we ended up doing that ourselves. And then we now take that technology and put that back into the cars. So I think everybody sees that there's a bit of 360-degree technology evolution going around the company.
And for 2021, obviously 2020 was a really tough year. I think 2021, with the Brexit impact at the ports for the first few months, there has been some impact. But I see positivity going forward. How do you see your company and your future for 2021?
I think, well, like you say, 2020 was very difficult. We concentrated on all our R&D. We saw it as a great opportunity to get our heads down, concentrate, and that's where I think 2021 will be so successful, because we've set ourselves up with some very clear products that are coming to the market, the technology that's coming out, and I think already we're seeing huge interest globally with what's going on, which I think is really important.
So a positive year going forward.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't get me wrong, cash is king. It's going to be a struggle, but I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we've all got to be working closely together and openly, because I think if you communicate, if you do have a problem with either cash or supply, people were willing to help you with that, as long as you're open and honest with them. Fantastic.
Julian, thank you for your time today. Great to see inside of one of your autonomous pods. I need to come and see you and catch up on the company and what you're doing. Fantastic to speak to you. Thank you for your time.
Andy, thanks very much.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of another show. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to meeting more of our brilliant SME manufacturers like Julian next week. If you would like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or even to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mtd.media. Fantastic show today. Thank you, Julian. Thank you for watching. So from me, Chris G at SDE, goodbye.